There's something almost mystical about waking up at 3 in the morning for no apparent reason. While the world sleeps, enveloped in a silence so dense that it seems possible to hear your own blood circulate, you are there, with your eyes open, as if a part of you had been programmed to awaken at precisely that time. It's not hunger. It's not thirsty. It's not the noise from your neighbor or the barking of a dog in the street. It's just you, the darkness, and a strange feeling that something or someone has called you back to consciousness. At first glance, it may just seem like insomnia, that modern discomfort that everyone has experienced on a night of stress or anxiety. But anyone who wakes up systematically at these times, without an obvious trigger, knows there is something more. It is not the body that resists rest, it is as if the mind has an internal clock set to a time that does not belong to the living. 3 in the morning is not an accident. They are an invitation. And what invitation is this? Some will say it is witching hour, that moment when the veil between the worlds would thin, according to ancient legends. Others, more skeptical, will blame it on cortisol, the stress hormone, which in some people presents unexplained nocturnal spikes. But anyone who has spent nights like this knows that the explanation doesn't just lie in biochemistry or folklore. It's something deeper, a need for solitude that the day doesn't allow. Just imagine, during the daytime hours, we are bombarded by stimuli, messages, news, looks, expectations. The brain, even without us realizing it, spends all day filtering information, making decisions, performing versions of ourselves for others. At night, when the world finally falls silent, that part of us that has been drowned out by the noise of routine wakes up. It is no coincidence that it is in the early hours of the morning that poets write their rawest verses, that scientists have their revelations, and that insomniacs face their shadows. It's no wonder that Van Gogh painted at night, that Kafka wrote at inappropriate times, and that so many other geniuses in history were known for their sleepless nights. Dawn does not belong to those who sleep. It belongs to those who need to find themselves. But why exactly this time? Why not at 2? Why not at 4? 3 in the morning has a unique quality. It is the exact point at which the night has gone on long enough for physical fatigue to be inevitable, but there is still a long way to go before dawn. It is the time when the body's resistance is lowest and the mind, free from the day's distractions, turns inward. It's when the memories we avoided during the day emerge like ghosts, when the doubts we buried come back to the surface, and when, finally, we allow ourselves to feel what we really feel, without masks, without excuses. For some, these nighttime awakenings are a sign of unresolved grief. Psychiatrist Carl Jung spoke about the unconscious as a reservoir of everything we deny while awake. At 3 in the morning, when defenses are down, this stuff comes to the surface. It could be the loss of someone we didn't mourn enough, a love we didn't get over, a dream we abandoned. The body wakes up because the soul refuses to let these wounds lie dormant. For others, it is a creative calling. How many times have you heard stories of musicians who wrote their best songs in the early hours of the morning, of writers who found the perfect ending to a book at 3 in the morning? There's something about the stillness of this time that unlocks parts of the brain that go dormant during the day. It's as if, without the external noise, we were finally able to hear our own voice and, with it, the ideas that day-to-day life muffles. And then there are those for whom dawn is, simply, the time of truth. Without the pressure to be productive, please others, or follow a script, we are forced to face who we really are. It's no wonder that so many people have their biggest existential crises at this time. That's when we realize that the life we lead may not be what we wanted, that the relationships we maintain may not fulfill us, that the paths we choose may not lead us anywhere. 3 in the morning is the cruelest mirror there is. But it's not just pain that makes up the morning. There is also a melancholy beauty to these awakenings. It's the time when the world seems suspended in time, when the empty streets and the distant lights of the houses create a feeling that only you exist. That's when we can finally breathe without rushing. Some even develop nightly rituals: hot tea, a notebook, a playlist of songs that no one else listens to. These moments become sacred, almost like a private religion. Because, deep down, anyone who wakes up at 3 in the morning for no reason is, in a way, celebrating their own loneliness. And what to do when this happens? Some try to fight it by forcing sleep with medication or relaxation techniques. Others surrender, turning insomnia into an ally. But perhaps the answer lies not in resisting or surrendering, but in listening. After all, if the body insists on waking up at this time, it is because there is something that needs to be said, felt, or resolved. It may be a memory that needs to be revisited, a decision that needs to be made, a truth that needs to be faced. 3 in the morning is not a punishment. They are an ambiguous gift, painful, because they force us to face what we avoid, but liberating, because it is only in the darkness that we can see the stars. And anyone who has been through this knows, after a night like this, the dawn arrives differently. The light seems brighter, the sounds clearer, as if the world has been reset. Because, in a way, you were too. If you are one of those people who wakes up for no reason in the middle of the night, no, there is nothing wrong with you. On the contrary, you are part of a lineage of dreamers, of thinkers, of souls who refuse to sleep while there is something inside them that has not yet been said. Maybe your body is just reminding you that life isn't just to be lived, it's to be questioned, felt, explored. And sometimes the most important answers don't come with the sun. They arrive when the world is quiet enough that you can finally hear them. So the next time you wake up at 3 in the morning, instead of rolling over and trying to sleep, try staying. Have a glass of water. Look out the window. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding feeling? Or what do I need to remember? Because, deep down, these early mornings are not accidental. They are an invitation to meet. And who knows, in the silence of the night, you might discover something that the day would never let you see. The dawns that reveal us, when the night speaks louder than the day. Have you ever noticed how 3 a.m. is a sacred time? It's not just the time the body wakes up without warning, it's the time the world stops lying. The streets are empty, notifications are silent, and even the wind seems to whisper something that the day dares not say. It's no wonder that poets, philosophers, and madmen, sometimes the same person, swear that their best or worst ideas are born at this time. Because the night is not just darkness. It's a mirror. What if I told you that these early mornings are not accidents, but an alert system of the soul? Your brain is not waking you up by chance. He's telling you, there's something here you don't want to see in the daytime. Something that only emerges when the spotlight goes out. It could be an inconvenient truth, that project you've been putting off for months, a forbidden longing, the name you erase from your message box, but not from your memory, or even an existential question so big that the sun can't shine it. What if I'm living the wrong life? What the night knows, and the day hides. People who wake up at these times, the voluntary insomniacs, the forced dreamers, often share traits invisible in daylight. 1. They are false detectors. During the day, they smile and fulfill roles. At night, the body refuses to perform. The mind says, enough with the masks. Now it's time to feel what you really feel. Example, you spend the day praising your work, but at 3 a.m., you finally admit, I hate this. Why am I here? 2. They have an internal urgency clock. It's not common anxiety. It's as if the brain knows that something needs to be resolved before dawn, a decision, a forgiveness, a letter never sent. Science behind. Studies show that the prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and self-criticism, is hyperactive in nocturnal insomniacs. It's no wonder that you wake up with solutions to problems that seemed like no way out. 3. They are secret keepers. The night is the only witness to the things we cannot confess even to ourselves. It's time for the naked truths. Dangerous question. What do you only admit to yourself after midnight? What to do when the night calls, and you don't want to answer? Next time you wake up at this time, don't fight. Instead of counting sheep or rolling around in bed like a fish out of water, try this. 1. Write without filtering. Take a notebook or cell phone notepad and write everything down. It's not daily. It's emotional vomiting. Rule: do not reread. Don't judge. Just write until the pen hurts. Why it works: the brain uses insomnia to process what the day has left behind. Writing is giving him an outlet. 2. Ask the forbidden question. It's not why can't I sleep, but what am I avoiding facing? What lie have I been telling myself? If I had courage, what would I do differently tomorrow? Warning: answers may hurt. But the pain that heals is better than the pain that festers inside. 3. Listen to the silence. Close your eyes and pay attention to the sounds of early morning, the hum of the refrigerator, the wind in the trees, your own heart. Secret: it is in this void that intuition speaks loudest. The voice you ignore during the day screams at night. 4. Make a decision, even a small one. Insomnia is often the brain asking for action. It doesn't have to be radical. Could it be, tomorrow, I'm going to call so-and-so. I'm going to research that course I always recommend. I'm going to stop pretending everything is fine. Side effect: you sleep better when your brain feels like it's in control. The dawn after the storm. Here's the magic: the nights that hurt are the ones that transform the most. After a night like this, you wake up different. Not because you slept well, but because something inside you rearranged itself. Maybe it's sudden clarity: I need to quit this job; unexpected peace: I finally understand why this hurt me so much; or even new courage: I'm going to try. Even though I'm scared. The Greeks called this kairos, the right moment, God's time, that instant when everything aligns not by the clock, but by the soul. And guess what? Kairos rarely knocks on your door at 3 p.m. on a sunny Tuesday. He arrives at dawn, when you are bare of distractions, and whispers, now. It's now. For those who still think sleeping well is ideal. Society loves to label: those who sleep little are sick. Those who wake up at night are anxious. But what if you're not broken, you're just tuned to another frequency? The most interesting people in history, artists, scientists, revolutionaries, had their greatest revelations when they should have been sleeping. Franz Kafka wrote The Metamorphosis at dawn. Nikola Tesla had insights into states of near insomnia. Virginia Woolf said that the night was her time of truth. They had no sleep disorders. They had disorders of the soul, and that's what made them genius. The last question, the one you don't want to answer. Before closing this text, do an exercise. Think about the last time you woke up for no reason in the middle of the night. What was happening in your life at the time? What time? Was there something you were ignoring? Now, the question that hurts: what if these nights weren't a problem, but a gift? An uncomfortable, sometimes cruel, but necessary gift, like a mirror that shows not only your face, but also what you hide behind it. What to do now? 1. If you identified yourself, write down: my early mornings are messages. I will listen. 2. If you know someone like this, share this text. Sometimes a person just needs to know that they are not alone in the dark. 3. If you want more reflections like this, save this profile, turn on notifications and comment below: what was your biggest revelation this morning? I promise to read each one. Because in the end, the nights that wake us up are the ones that save us. And the dawn after them? This one is for real. Until next morning. Crescent moon. Or until you find out why your soul won't let you sleep. The silence that speaks louder than words. Have you ever noticed how some people carry a silence that seems heavy? It's not that empty silence, of someone who has nothing to say. It's a dense silence, as if each unspoken word was a story kept in a locked box. While the world screams for attention, they choose the internal echo, and that, my friend, is no coincidence. Before you think, but everyone has their quiet moments, know that I'm talking about those chronic silences. Those that cause the person to be labeled cold, distant, or hard to read. But what if this silence is not absence, but presence on another frequency? What if, instead of being empty, it's full of answers that no one asked the right question to hear? What this silence hides, and why you should listen. 1. A mind in overdrive. As you speak, they are processing layers. It's not that they don't have anything to say, it's that they're filtering what's worth saying. Example: a 30-second silence in a conversation could be the time it takes them to discover the root of what you just shared. 2. Scars from misused words. Have you ever heard the expression words are like eggs? Once they're broken, they don't go back to normal. So it is. Many silent people have learned the hard way that failing silently hurts less than failing out loud. Common scene: someone who, as a child, was ridiculed for an opinion and today calculates each syllable before saying it. 3. The art of observing without being seen. They are not outside the circle, they are reading the manual while you play the game. Silent people often make the best strategists, artists, and problem solvers because they see what others ignore. Curious fact: studies show that introverted people have more complex brain activity in areas linked to memory and planning when listening to a conversation. 4. The fear, or wisdom, of being misunderstood. In a world where everything becomes a meme, gossip, or judgment, silence can be self-preservation. Why risk being reduced to a soundbite when you are a symphony? Key phrase: I'd rather be thought that I'm antisocial than find out that I'm misunderstood. 5. The secret language of gestures. Those who don't talk much talk with their body. A look, a sigh, the way they follow the conversation with their eyes. Their silence is a dialogue in code, and whoever learns to decipher it gains access to a level of communication that words cannot reach. Why is the world afraid of this silence? Because silence is uncomfortable. It forces people to look inward, and not everyone is ready to do that. A society that preaches speak now or be forgotten does not know how to deal with those who choose to wait, observe, feel. But here's the bombshell truth. The quietest people are often the ones with the most to say. They just won't waste it on anyone who isn't ready to listen. How to decipher and value this silence. White heavy checkmark: don't force speech, offer space. Silent people speak when they feel safe. The not pressed. White heavy checkmark: observe the details. A shy smile, a nod, a notebook full of notes. Their silence is an open book for those who know how to read between the lines. White heavy checkmark: ask questions that require reflection, not automatic answers. X. What do you think no one notices about topic? White heavy checkmark: accept that not everything needs words. Sometimes just sitting together in silence is a conversation. White heavy checkmark: don't confuse stillness with indifference. It could be that they are building an internal empire while you think they are just quiet. The question you don't want to answer. Now, do an exercise. When was the last time you were silent, for real? Not that silence while scrolling through your feed, but that active silence, where you listen to yourself. If the answer is I don't remember, here's a warning. You may be so used to the noise that you've forgotten what your own voice sounds like. What to do now? 1. If you are silent, write down: my silence is not empty. It is an invitation to those who deserve to enter. 2. If you live with a silent person, don't interrupt them. Sometimes they're writing a poem in their head and you'll never read it if you don't have time. 3. If you want more reflections like this, save this text, share it with those who need to understand, or be understood, and comment: when was the time your silence spoke louder than your words? I read each one. Because in the end, the most powerful voices aren't the ones that scream, they're the ones that echo. And the echo? This only comes after the silence. Until the next pause between words. Milky Way. Or until you discover that your silence is also an answer.